Hello, we are the Smashing the Poverty Stigma in Society group. It's myself, Adam, Rowan, Jasmine and Ellie.
Hey guys. Before we sort of delve into the things we've been discussing today in our group, we'd really like for you to sort of participate in a little exercise that we came up with. And don't worry, you're not going to have to get up and do anything or speak in front of everyone. So what's going to happen is I'm going to ask you all to close your eyes, and then I'm going to ask you a question. And if the answer to that question is yes, put your hand up. That's all it is. So if you could all close your eyes. So the first question is, have you ever listened to music that's left you feeling vulnerable? So if you could keep your hands up, but open your eyes and have a look around and sort of see who else has put their hand up. Right. Once you've done that, if you could close your eyes again. The next question is, do you enjoy singing in the shower? Right, you can open your eyes and look around. Right, the final question, so if you could close your eyes again, is, do you enjoy dancing? You could open your eyes. Brilliant, thank you.
So this morning we were given the question, how do we smash the poverty stigma in society? And there was a lot of discussion, we had a lot of material. But the main sort of thing that we came to is that we have as a society, we have a huge obsession with money and materialism and things. And yet there are so many other things in our lives that make us up, the same way that, you know, we're not defined by our race, or if we have disabilities, we shouldn't be defined by how much money we have. So we thought, in order to switch up the poverty stigma, we need to start asking a different question, which is why we came up with this alternate census, because normally censuses have a lot of monetary questions. You know, how much are you earning? How much did your house cost? How many rooms do you have in your house? How many cars do you have, etc., etc. We're more interested in looking at our differences and our similarities that aren't to do with money. So, do you like dancing? Do you like singing in the shower, etc.? And we also want you to go out and ask these questions in discussions with your friends and families. You know, instead of asking, oh, have you got a job yet? Maybe ask, how are you feeling today?
As Jasmine's just been saying, like, our main sort of idea was, well, in order to change the narrative of the stigma of poverty in society, we need to be asking different questions and changing the conversation topic. So, like, I had a friend who had this complete unexplicable aversion for Aldi, to the point where she went once because it got to the end of the month, she didn't have a lot of money, she went to Aldi, she called me and started, it was like hysterical, saying, oh, the lighting's terrible, the colour doesn't match, there's something over there called a wheat bisque, and then just sort of stormed out. And I, at the time, thought, well, that's a bit of an extreme reaction to off-brand Weetabix.
Products out on the supermarkets are the same products, it's just a different label, and we need to get out there and say, it's not about the label, it's about what's on the inside.
Well, I'm going to dig a bit deeper here and say that, like, that applies to everything. You know, labels, we all have labels. If you think about it, we sort of categorize ourselves and self-segregate. We think, right, he's rich, he's poor, he's cool, he's not, he listens to this kind of music. And we use that as a shell to, like, hide away, right? And that's really counter-progressive to these ideas that we've been presenting, this whole idea of personal experience and human experience. And that's what the alternative census is about. It's about realizing that we have this running theme throughout our lives, these moments that really connect us and make us similar. And when we're sort of consumed by our divisions, by how interconnected we are, you know, we have social media, we have Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, we're always connected, we're always together, but yet we're consumed by our divisions. And I think that's really interesting. And maybe that's the point, you know, that's what we're trying to combat. Is being able to dismantle this whole idea of stigmatization around poverty and being able to say, right, we're all the same. in certain ways. And maybe if we aren't, maybe that's something that we can see beauty in. You know, I used to go to a school where the diversity was just incredible. People from different races, ethnicities, cultures, and religions, and we all just came together, and despite what many people might think, we formed a community. It was really beautiful. We had something really special. We would meet up every month, and like we would hang out together all the time. It was like real human connection. It's because we were all so different, but we were able to sort of understand that we're the same as well. And I think that's what we need to be applying in like a broader spectrum. So this whole idea of the alternative census, and that's sort of what we're trying to present to you today, is take it further, take it to your work, talk about it with your friends, you know, have these sort of discussions where you talk about these little moments that connect us all together. You know, do you like to dance? Has music made you feel vulnerable? All of this sort of stuff, it's so important. I think it's important, you know, and I think Pope Francis once said, when he was visiting Lampedusa off of the coast of Italy, he said, he accused all of us of being part of the globalization of indifference. And I think that's really powerful, because I think there's some truth to that. But I'm not one to argue with the Pope, you know, but I think that the problem is why we are part of that is because we don't seem to be able to find a solution. And I'm going to put it out there and say I think that this alternative census may be it, right? So,
linking back to that community feel thing with you in your old school, I have a friend who lived in London, and I met him a few months ago, and he was completely obsessed with buying Gucci, Moncler, all the latest fashion that he could. And he recently took part in a TV show where he was taken to the Philippines and went to all the sweatshops and saw where everything he had came from. And he'd also stayed with a Filipino boy who worked at the factory. And he came back to me and said, I don't want any of my designer stuff. It's all materialistic. I've spent a week living with this guy at his house, with his family, and there is more of a sense of community at his house when there is barely any money than at his, where there is constant wealth and fortune. And he's sold all of his designer stuff because he's felt that he's too materialistic. And I think that's something we can all relate to, is we all like to obviously we'd all love to buy Gucci every day, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who wants to walk around with a Rolex watch and everything. But I think we just need to, again, smash the poverty narrative in society and make that a community feel.
yeah.
And by doing this, by this alternative census, we want to roll this out to all different types of places and just ask people how they feel, and then repeat this every 5 or 10 years to see what the effect is.
Yeah, I think it sort of inspires a sense of social responsibility, which is what we've been missing in society for so long. And that's sort of the point, you know, to be able to connect with each other and inspire that responsibility that we need for each other.
The whole point of this is that you sit down with a group of people, preferably in your community, or people that you hang out with a lot but maybe don't know much about. And it's the experience of looking around you and looking at the people that you share things with that has nothing to do with money. We just want to get rid of that.
We just want to smash poverty for everyone.
Thank you.
So much smashing poverty today. Well done, guys. Do you want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Adam. I'm 17, and I'm from Birchington. Boop, boop.
I'm Ellie, I'm 22, and I'm from Germany.
I'm Jasmine, and I'm 17.
I'm Rowan, I'm 16. Was I supposed to follow that up? I'm Egyptian. I don't know.
How have you found today?
Originally, when we started today, we sort of sat in the room, looked at the question and thought, is there an actual answer we could get? And I think we came up with not hundreds, but loads of ideas of different reasons why we could smash the poverty narrative. And we voted on the 2 that we liked best, and that's the ones we've decided to talk about today.
Yeah, we started off really, really cynical. I think it was Jasmine that said, there is no solution. She was like, it's not possible, like we can't do it. And from that, at the beginning, we sort of progressed and we were like, okay, well, what can we do, even if it is impossible to eradicate it completely? And we thought, we found ourselves sort of sharing stories, and we thought there was something really beautiful about that, how we were sort of connecting in this way and sharing these stories and experiences. And we thought that's a really great way to get this point across, because society is such a broad sort of term, you know, like, yeah.
And also, like, us coming together this morning, not knowing a single thing about each other, and yet we're sitting about 2 hours later saying everything about each other and backgrounds and everything of different styles. And I think that we've just proved that you can be 4 complete strangers and within a few hours be fleshing out everything between you and making sure that you can smash everything.
Are these topics things that you've considered before today in any sort of like real depth?
For me personally, like I spend a lot of my time worrying about things that I have no control over, like capitalism and mortgages and all of that stuff. And before today, I had this sort of mindset of, well, there's not going to be any change without mass revolution and burning the establishment, and this sort of almost counterproductive idea of how to ignite change in society, because, you know, at the end of the day, that sort of energy isn't right. And I think the first step to identifying issues and identifying the causes of these issues and making big changes within government and within society, that can only happen once we, you know, when we know about each other and we've eliminated divisions and stigmas, because stigmas are just that. They're judgments and they're preconceptions, and as soon as you share a human experience with someone and you really understand what they've been through and vice versa, you know, that just replaces the stigma then. So without, I'm rambling now.
I think we also started this morning thinking, we came in and we were like, it's 100% down to the government, and they're the reason that poverty is like this in society. And the more we talked about it, we realised it's a combination of us as a community and the communication between us and the government doing what they can.
Because the question was like, do we talk about it a lot? I do a lot, just because, I don't know, I think I have friends that we really like, we're interested in like things like problems that we can't solve, and it's just fun to talk about it and talk about causes and like other stuff, but yeah.
Brilliant, well done.